Hey everybody, I'm Nick Taylor from the Crafty Gentleman, and today we're at Manantler Craft Brewing Company in Bowmanville, Ontario. And we're sitting down with the owner of Manantler, Matt Altott, and we're gonna sample some beer and talk about the brewery.
We're drinking the, oh my God, Becky, look at her Brut. This is our most recent release. We just released it last week. Manantler's first Brut IPA, so we might be a little behind everybody else, but we got one out, which is what matters. So style, looking at a really nice hoppy, flavorful beer. The uniqueness with the Brut IPA is the back end of it is actually more of a drier finish. So more of a champagne type yeast, gives you that punch in the mouth of the aroma and flavor you want, and then finishes off as a drier beer, which is a pretty unusual when you have that hop flavors in there.
Kind of unique combination.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet.
Not everyone's cup of tea, but especially a lot of people that don't like the floral-y aspect of the beer,
Right.
Gives them more of a champagne, if you will, a little bit of a flavor profile to it.
So what kind of flavors and aromas would you expect with this?
So this beer specifically, looking at like white grape, citrus, a little bit of mango, and then higher carbonation level on this one because of the dryness.
Right.
But yeah, very flavorful, very sessionable. It's only 4.8%.
Nice.
So lots of flavor and a little bit of that dryness.
Seems perfect for the weather that's coming up too.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
special beers in the summer are like the go-to.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
And it's really hazy,
Yeah,
really heavy, and like
has
I
a
always
really
find
nice
that
color.
When I see color like that, I always think like it's just colorful because it's packed with flavor. and
Right.
aroma,
Yeah.
Which is always super inviting.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Sweet.
The haze craze is what they're calling it these days. Yeah.
I'm all over it.
Yeah,
I've
me
jumped
too.
all over that train.
I think the last 4 or 5 beers we released have been,
Oh yeah?
yeah, hazy
That's
IPAs.
No.
Awesome. Cheers.
All right. Yeah, it is really citrusy there. It's very good.
I get a lot of that mango, and then just the back half of it, just as you swallow,
Right.
your palate just dries up.
There's not a lot of bitterness to this at all, right?
No, the bitterness would be really low, probably 40 or 50.
Right.
And that's just kind of when we're adding the hops to the boil.
Right. When you hear people talk, like you hear people say sometimes, like, I'm not crazy about really hoppy beers.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're, without even realizing it, they're talking about bitterness?
Yeah, definitely a big part of it is they're talking about bitterness, and there's certain hops that people just aren't familiar with.
Right.
The hop farm, if you will, the hop family is huge. Like there's so many different strands.
Yeah.
They're making up new strands every day in labs now and with all this stuff. And the quality that we're getting out of it is really bringing a lot to the beer. Something like a single hop series I'm in love with.
Yeah.
You just, everything you're smelling and tasting out of a single hop beer, you know, is basically coming right from that hop.
Yeah. You can isolate each hop that way.
Right. And then in this, you know, just so flavorful. All the hops are bringing that to it.
And they kind of complement each other that way too, right?
Right.
When you add them together.
Yep, exactly. Some hops don't go well together, and some hops go extremely well together.
Yeah.
So it's finding that kind of balance in between. But going back to your point about bitterness, I definitely think that is a big factor of when people think hoppy, they think the beer's going to be too bitter. I'm not going to enjoy it. But especially with this whole East Coast style that's kind of really blown up in Ontario anyways the last few years, you get all of the hop flavors that you want, and then the bitterness on the back end is kind of cut right out.
Right.
And people more and more are starting to, you know, take a little sip of it, realize, yes, this is something I can drink, and then they're starting to open up their palates a little bit.
Yeah, that's how you reel them in.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the bitterness as well as the hops, depending on the hops that we're using, there's some hops that can kind of just really scare people away. And then there's some that are just very citrusy and very inviting, which make you just want to keep drinking them.
Yeah, exactly. And especially aroma too. I find like if a beer is like really
smells delicious. Yeah,
it's the best thing ever.
yeah.
You just want to live in here.
It's like being hungry and smelling food.
Yeah, I know.
And then being thirsty and just smelling a beer, and you're like, yeah, that's what I want right now.
Okay, but that's a good transition. You said you didn't get introduced to the craft beer scene till your like mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
So when was that? When did you get into it?
So I was actually going to university to be a police officer.
Yeah.
And my brother and his 3 buddies were opening up the brewery.
Yeah.
And the first thing I wanted to do was drop out of school, move to Bowmanville, and just start working here in whatever capacity I could.
Yeah.
My dad was an entrepreneur, so it's always been a thing in the back of my head that I'm like, oh, I want to run and own my own company.
Right.
And then I was in about 3rd year of university when this place started to get off the ground. Didn't drop out, stayed in school, got my degree, worked in my field for about a year, and then an opportunity came up here. They needed a sales rep, so I jumped on it, moved here with my girlfriend.
Sweet.
And then 2 years later, I'm the owner.
Sweet. So
Yeah.
now, how long has that been since you like got involved with Manantler?
So I started physically working here as a sales rep in August of 2016,
Right.
and then I became owner in September or in January of 2017. I became a part owner.
Yeah.
In January of 2018, I became the full owner.
Yeah. So that's like almost 2 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Between owner and now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you guys are in like places throughout Durham region, right?
Yeah.
Like big places like Kelsey's, Montana's.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like breaking down that barrier, what we just talked about, right?
Yeah, and that was a big thing for me, especially in Bowmanville. In our own city, I want everyone to be able to walk into a place that has beer and you just recognize our logo,
Right.
and they have the local brewery on tap.
It feels like more of a, I find this in the craft beer community all the time. It's like people supporting people just to build each other up.
Yeah, and that's like one of my favorite parts about the industry.
Yeah.
Although all of these other small craft breweries are our competition, they're just as equally our friends, and we're trying to help each other, support each other. Craft breweries closing doesn't help me out.
Right.
It's, we want to get as many in the province that we can sustain, and nobody really knows what that number is yet right now. But especially with the way that our system's set up with LCBO and beer store and grocery store, it's like not the perfect system for us to be as successful as we should be.
Right.
So there's definitely some stuff that they can do. Something as small as letting us serve local wine and cider in the tap room for all the people that don't drink beer.
Right. So like you have places like, I'm sure places you're referring to are like Brew Wizards. We're going to be here, right?
Yeah.
Pork and Bean.
Yeah.
Like 3-6 Kitchen.
Yeah. Village Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Places, all local places like that. So are those places like the ones that you focus on? You have a more personal relationship with them, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm the owner, and I'm still the one that walks in and drops off the kegs and makes sure everything's good. Like we don't have a sales guy per se right now. So I'm still doing all that, which is good because I'm walking in and talking to the owner. It's not like I'm walking in and talking to an employee.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And then since then you did the Russian Imperial Stout, which is a hit in terms of the label.
Yeah. So my favorite stand-up comedian, Bert Kreiser, I yeah, Fat Bert. I tweeted him one day, just being like, "Hey Bert, I own a brewery in Bowmanville in Canada, and I'd really love to like do a beer with you on the label and call it The Machine." And he basically tweeted me back 15 minutes later, and he said, "Do it." 12 hours later, we had a designed label done, a recipe, and within 24 hours, we had brewed it.
That's awesome.
And it was a hit. We had just gotten our barrels in. We got, in January, I ordered, January of last year, I ordered 4 Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels from the States. And we brewed the Imperial Stout at the same time and filled one of those barrels with that original batch.
Right.
And that's actually the beer that we have in the fridge right now.
Right.
Is
so there's like 2 that you released essentially, right?
Yeah, like once the actual stout was ready, we released it, and then we released two. This is the second barrel age version that we've released. So we ended up filling 3 or 4 of the barrels with the beer. After 3 months, we released one. After 6 months, I think we released one, and then this one's 15 month, and it's the last one.
Yeah. So, and you can see the difference, right?
Oh, big. Yeah.
Are they much more? I'm sure they're much more boozy as you go further down the line, right?
Right, and as you use the barrel more and more, you're gonna get a little bit less life out of it. So the 15 age version that we have right now was first time use. 200 liters of the Russian Imperial, so it's picked up a lot of the bourbon character.
Right.
And then since then, we've ended up ordering, I think, eight more barrels, and we have another 10 or so on the way.
Sweet. So that's obviously something you're going to go through more of.
Yeah. Corey is a wizard when it comes to flavor profiles and taste buds, and he was a chef for 7 years, so he's got the flavor stuff down.
Yeah.
So definitely going to have more barrels coming in for sure.
Sweet. So is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap up here?
No, check us out on social media.
Yeah. Instagram.
Yeah, we got basically, if you're gonna buy bottles, you got to come to the brewery, the brick and mortar, and check it out. But yeah, we're in a bunch of licensees all over Durham.
Perfect.
Yeah, come check us out.
Thanks so much for having us,
Yeah,
man.
thank
I really
you.
appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.